What is going on, college basketball fans, and welcome back to my Week 13 Dannyology Power 35 rankings for college basketball. As always, we're dropping our power rankings every single Monday morning at 7 a.m., and we have daily college basketball content dropping here on the channel. So make sure you guys subscribe if you guys have not already. But yeah, guys, another crazy week where a lot of the top-ranked teams took some losses, and not gonna lie, it makes the rankings very chaotic, but I actually do feel pretty good once again about my rankings. I always spend a lot of time trying to pick where each team should be ranked, but I always want to hear your guys' opinions on my rankings down below in the comment section. So let me know who should be higher, who should be lower, which team should be swapped around. Let me know all of that, and make sure you guys drop a like if you guys enjoy. But yeah, guys, let's get right into it. All right, Week 13 power rankings. And we have the same number one team. This should be everybody's number one team up to this point in the season. And Purdue, another 2-0 week, beat Michigan State pretty handily at home. Very good win. Purdue's up there at number one. Number two team, we got Tennessee. And I'll go ahead and talk about my number two and my number three, because Arizona actually did beat Tennessee, but it was a home game there for Arizona, and it was a very close game. And the way Tennessee has been playing recently, I'm going to give the edge right now to Tennessee. Even with the head-to-head victory for Arizona, I'm still going to give it to Tennessee. Very good win over Texas. They only have the one loss in SEC play, and that was to Kentucky. But other than that Kentucky loss, they have been very consistent over the course of the season. This Tennessee team is playing really good, and I know they usually don't perform very good in March Madness, but we're talking about regular season power rankings for this week right now. I got to give Tennessee the number two spot right now. And right behind them, the team that beat them but has had some tough losses throughout the season, had a really good week this week, and they're all the way up here at number three for me this week. They had some tough losses against teams like Washington State, Utah, Oregon, but they're back up at number three, starting to get a little bit of a win streak going now, beating teams like UCLA, USC, Arizona State, teams that are, towards the top of the Pac-12. And usually when Arizona plays a team, that is really good, they have been winning. They haven't lost to a good team yet this year. All the good teams that they faced, they have beaten. So I don't know, that kind of worries me a little bit. Are they, prone to getting upset when we get to March Madness? That's a conversation for another day, but for now, they're up here in the number three spot. At number four, we do have the Houston Cougars, and it was tough for me to put Houston up here at number four, but they only have two losses up to this point on the season, and one of those coming to my number six team, Alabama, and that was a home game for Houston. So I really didn't want to put Houston above Alabama, but with as bad as a loss as Alabama took there to Oklahoma, I mean, not only did they lose to Oklahoma on the road, which then I wouldn't have moved them down as much, but they lost really badly there to Oklahoma. In the game before, they struggled against Mississippi State at home. There, Alabama did. So I had to move them down a little bit, and I know Alabama did beat Houston in Houston, but overall, I still have to put Houston at number four right now. I mean, head-to-head, it does mean something there, but it doesn't mean everything, especially because it was a close game. I got to give Houston I got to put them up at number four at this point because of how bad of a loss Alabama took there. But you could say, Alabama has losses to teams like UConn on a neutral site court, to Gonzaga on a neutral site court. So you don't want to put those teams above Alabama. So the same kind of thing makes sense when you talk about putting Houston above Alabama there. But at number five, I do have Kansas State. So they had a 1-1 week this week. They lost to Iowa State in Ames, but Ames has been a very tough place to play. Played in Iowa State very, very well, like better than Baylor did, better than a lot of teams do. Like, they played that game close, and then they bounced back from that, beating up on Florida very badly. Like, Kansas State, they are looking like easily a top 10 team. I have them up here at number 5. Alabama, they can have a bounce back week. I think they will have a bounce back week this week, and they'll be able to get back into the top 5 and probably maybe even into the top 3 with a really good week. I just need to see that they're back on track, but I believe that they will. We already talked about it. They got beat up really bad on the road at Oklahoma, lost by 21, but we're down by nearly 30 at points. And earlier in that week they struggled at home against Mississippi State, so I had to move them down here to number 6, but with a good week here, they could easily jump right back into my top 3. At number 7, we do have the Virginia Cavaliers, and Virginia, a team that's starting to build some consistency again there in the ACC. And in the ACC, everybody's kind of beating each other, but Virginia, they put together a nice little win streak there. Ever since they lost on the road at Pitt, they have not lost since. So Virginia back up here at number 7. At number 8, I do have Marquette, and Marquette has been balling lately. I mean, the only loss that they took in January was on the road to Xavier, and they only lost by 4 points in that game. And Xavier, a very tough place to play this year. And similarly to how I feel about Kansas State playing close and Iowa State, I feel the same way about Marquette playing close to Xavier, especially because Marquette has been very, very consistent in league play. They deserve it. They've been playing super good. They're up here in the top 10 this week. At number 9, I do have Iowa State. I believe they're staying in the same spot as last week, or very close to the same spot as last week. A 1-1 week here for them. They did get a very big win over Kansas State at home that we talked about earlier, but then they took a loss on the road at Missouri, and I know Iowa State was missing some players, but so wasn't Missouri. So I just think Iowa State is one of those teams, like, they're going to play super good at home, and on the road they can pick up some road wins. They've shown that. They've hit a buzzer beater to defeat TCU on the road. They've defeated good teams on the road, but Missouri, another good team that has a really good environment at home. I think Iowa State is just a better team at home, but they still deserve this number 9 spot right now. At number 10, we do have the Baylor Bears, and in my power rankings, you guys know, I value teams that are consistent and building up win streaks. Well, Baylor has done that. They're now on a 6 or maybe a 7-game win streak in the Big 12 Conference, and all those games being Big 12 games except for their past win against Arkansas. Another really good week. They had a 2-0 week against Kansas and Arkansas. They're up here at number 10. I think they're jumping like 11 spots from last week. So a big jump here for the Baylor Bears. But yeah, they had a really good week, and they're on a big win streak right now. And right behind them, the team that they beat earlier this week, the Kansas Jayhawks, but they did also have a 1-1 week, losing at Baylor, but then bouncing back with a win in Rupp Arena against Kentucky. Very good win. Kansas up here at 11, dropping out of my top 10. I think they were 9 last week, so they're still dropping 2 spots, but still up towards the top. At number 12, we do have UCLA. They took another loss this week to USC, so they're dropping out of the top 10 this week, but I still think UCLA, a very solid team. They're still up here at number 12, of course, but they had to drop after that tough loss. I think they lost by double digits to USC, so a tough loss there for UCLA. We'll see how they bounce back. Next up, we got Texas coming in here at number 13, and Texas, another team who had a 1-1 week this week and lost on the road to my number 2 team, Tennessee. Rocky Top, tough place to play there. I don't want to move Texas too far down. I believe they're just moving down a couple of spots because I didn't expect them to win that game, but we'll see how they bounce back. Still have a really good record, have really good wins on the year. Texas up here at 13. At number 14, we do have Gonzaga, a team that got beat pretty bad by Texas early on in the year. They had a 2-0 week this week. Didn't really play anyone that great, though, but they're up here at 14, around the same spot they were last week. At number 15, we do have the TCU Horned Frogs. They took a loss this week to Mississippi State, but their star player, star guard Mike Miles, got injured in that game, so hopefully they can get him back soon. They have West Virginia at home in their next game. That is a game that I believe they could win without Mike Miles, but they did lose to West Virginia with Mike Miles on the road. But at home, I think they can still win that game. Hopefully Mike Miles is healthy and ready to go, but we'll see if we get any updates on his health here soon. But for now, they're still up here at number 15. TCU, a very good team for sure. And they have a head-to-head win over my number 16 team, Providence, back in the Big 12 Big East Challenge. And Providence still, they've gotten a lot better since that game, but I still, with these teams being so close in the rankings, I decided to give the nod there to TCU. But Providence playing very good basketball right now in the Big East. They're up here at 16. At number 17, we have my top mid-major ranked in the country in St. Mary's. They had a 2-0 week this week, including a good win over BYU on the road by 1 point. Was able to pull that one out, and St. Mary's, with a lot of my ranked team, a lot of the teams like towards my top 25 losing, St. Mary's has been able to be pretty consistent over the past few weeks. So I appreciate that. They're up at 17. Right behind them, we have my second favorite mid-major right now, and that is the FAU Owls. Right behind them, they've been dominating Conference USA, and another really good week this week, and another really good win over a pretty good Western Kentucky team. At number 19, this is one of my biggest changes to this week's power rankings. We have Indiana jumping, I think, from 31 to 19. So they're jumping 12 spots. And mind you, a lot of teams lost that were in that range. And Indiana is, what I said earlier, I value the win streaks, and especially in the Big Ten Conference. Now, the Big Ten, I've talked about it almost every week in the power rankings. Everybody's beating each other. No team is showing any sort of consistency. So, other than Purdue, any Big Ten team that I had ranked was like 31 to 35. But Indiana finally being another team other than Purdue in the Big Ten, showing some consistency and getting on a win streak. Last week they had two really good wins over Michigan State and Illinois on the road. This week they defeated Ohio State and Minnesota, getting on a nice little win streak there in the Big Ten. I appreciate that, and they're up at 19. And not only, they also had to jump up this high because they have a head-to-head win over Xavier on the road. Like I said earlier, Xavier, a very tough environment to play in on the road. Indiana has that head-to-head win, and they also have a head-to-head win over North Carolina, who I have at 21. So Indiana jumping up 12 spots up to this point in the season, and they're back in the top 25 and back in the top 20 at 19. At number 20, right behind them, we have a team that lost to Indiana at home earlier in the season, very early in the season, but that can be the difference, especially because Xavier took another loss this week, so they had to drop down, man. They lost badly to Creighton on the road. Creighton tore them up, and Creighton's another team to look out for. I don't have them mentioned, but I'll give them a shout out right now. Look out for Creighton to maybe start to creep back into the top 35 if they can have another good week this week. They can definitely get in next week. But yeah, they took that loss. Xavier down here at number 20 this week. At number 21, we do have North Carolina, another team who, is starting to build a little bit of consistency as of late. Other than their loss to Virginia, the past, 3-4 weeks, they haven't really lost any games. And North Carolina back in the top 25 this week here at 21. At number 22, we do have the Clemson Tigers, and they're a team that I actually wanted to drop out of the top 25 because they just, ever since they got into the top 25, they haven't been playing good, and they narrowly lost to a horrible Florida State team, and that would have been, cause for disaster there. They don't want to ruin their chances at making the NCAA tournament at this point, and losing to a terrible Florida State team will definitely, hurt your chances of making the tournament. But, they're up here at 22 still, say what you want, but they did still pull out the W, so I decided not to move them out and keep them up here at 22, and they have the head-to-head win over my number 23 team, NC State, who NC State has been playing really good as of late. They had another 2-0 week this week, including a really good win over Wake Forest, and that was a massive win because Wake Forest is a really good team, and that's going to mean a lot, come into the season whenever we're determining who should make the tournament. So NC State up here at number 23. At number 24, we do have New Mexico, and I know that they had a 1-1 week this week, but their loss was on the road at Nevada, a tough environment, and it was in double overtime. So they're actually still moving up one spot for me this week. I still think New Mexico, one of the best mid-majors in the country. They're in my top 25 here at 24. Right behind them, a team that New Mexico barely beats. It was a very good game. Boise State. Boise State's a team that has shown a lot of consistency throughout the entire month of January. They're cracking the top 25 this week here. And at number 26, we have Missouri, who had a super good week. Super good week for the Tigers. They went 2-0. I think who they faced. I think they beat Vanderbilt maybe, and then of course they did beat Iowa State. I could be wrong about the Vandy part, but they defeated somebody, and then they also defeated Iowa State, which was a huge win there for Missouri. So they're up, I think, 7 or 8 spots from last week. So they're jumping up quite a bit as well. Also, Memphis jumping up quite a bit. They're another team starting to show some more consistency, getting on a little bit of a win streak. And, a 4, 5, 6 game win streak will mean a lot whenever a lot of these top 25 teams are losing. So, like I said, I value that. I see you, Missouri, Memphis, starting to build a little bit of something here. And UConn dropping out of the top 25. Finally, I thought about doing it last week, but they took another loss this week to Xavier at home, like a home game for UConn. They got to beat Xavier, especially a Xavier team that has been struggling lately. It's a Xavier team that has lost to DePaul on the road, a team that lost to Creighton terribly on the road. Like, it doesn't seem like this Xavier team is a very good road team, but they went on the road to UConn and beat them. So that shows me a lot about UConn. Honestly, I could see the Huskies falling, even further. I decided to keep them around here at 28. We'll see how they bounce back from this, but if they take another loss next week, I think UConn's going to have to fall completely out of the power rankings, completely out of the Power 35. But at number 29, we do have the Duke Blue Devils, and I think they're in the exact same spot as last week. I'm pretty sure Duke has not moved up or down. They had a 1-1 week this week, lost on the road at Virginia Tech, but then went on the road to Georgia Tech and destroyed them. So that was a really good road win. I know it's Georgia Tech, but that Georgia Tech team beat Miami at home, and it's good to see Duke actually go on the road and destroy a team that they should. So they're staying put here at 29. At number 30, we do have San Diego State. I think they're staying around the same spot as well, but they're starting to build some consistency as well. But, teams like New Mexico have the head-to-head over them, so they're down here at number 30. At number 31, cracking the Power 35 this week, how about USC? USC had a very, very good week this week, defeating UCLA and Arizona State. Those are two really good wins. They're cracking the Power 35 this week, and you could honestly move them up to like 28 above UConn if you wanted to at this point. But I'm going to hold the brakes on them. Let's see if they can have another really good week. Then they'll jump up maybe close to the top 25. So look out for USC making a big jump next week if they can, have another really good week. At number 32, we do have the College of Charleston. I decided to keep them in my Power 35. I know they lost to Hofstra, which sounds like Hofstra University. It kind of sounds like an STD, but very bad loss for Charleston. But they're a team, that's only their second loss on the year, their first loss since they lost to North Carolina earlier in the season. I still, don't want them to fall completely out of my rankings yet. We'll see how they bounce back from this. I'm keeping them up here at number 32. We don't over-exaggerate whenever, Houston loses to Temple. They drop only a couple spots. So why should Charleston drop from my top 20 completely out? I still think they deserve to be in the top 35. They've been really good all season. It's one loss. Let's let them have at least a chance to bounce back. At number 33, we do have Illinois. The Big Ten actually getting some representation here today from me. Illinois had a very good week this week. They're in at 33. At number 34, we do have Texas A&M. And Texas A&M, they only have one loss in conference play, and that was to Kentucky. But other than that, they've been very consistent. They've been very good in the SEC. They definitely deserve a spot here at 34, and they had a really good win, snapping Auburn's 28-game home win streak. So defeating Auburn in Auburn is not easy to do, and Texas A&M definitely deserves a spot here in the Power 35 this week. We'll see if they can continue to build off of that. At number 35, we do have Rutgers, and I know they lost to Iowa again. They got swept this season by Iowa. But Rutgers, they're still in here at 35. It seems like they've been going 1-1 the past couple of weeks. Let's see if Rutgers can get a 2-0 week this week. Not sure who they're playing this upcoming week yet. But if they can get a 2-0 week, they can start to climb because they're one of the best defensive teams in the country. I know that Iowa just dropped 93 on them, I'm pretty sure, today. But, let's see if they can recover. Rutgers, I could definitely see if you guys wanted to swap one of my teams to watch in place of Rutgers, I would be fine with that. Let me know down below in the comment sections who you would have at that 35th spot. I wouldn't mind dropping Rutgers and putting one of these other teams in, but teams to watch that could maybe have a chance at making the Power 35 rankings next week. We mentioned Creighton earlier. They're starting to build something there. Blew out Xavier at home this week, so if Creighton can get another 2-0 week, they're probably going to make the Power 35 next week. Also, Auburn, they dropped out. They were top 25, I think, at 21 last week, but 0-2 week. They lost to Texas A&M at home and then lost to West Virginia on the road. That brings me to my next team to watch, West Virginia. West Virginia 2-0 week this week, won on the road at Texas Tech, then won at home against Auburn. Very good week for West Virginia. We'll see if they can build on that, start to get something going this next week. They could be in the rankings next week. Oklahoma is a team that looked to be struggling there, and I was starting to count them out a little bit, but then all of a sudden they beat Alabama by 21 points, so they're back on the radar. They're back on my teams to watch. We'll see if they can have another good week this week. Also, Kentucky, I know they lost to Kansas, but before that loss, they were starting to build something good there. Keep my eye out on Kentucky possibly getting back into the Power 35. Miami, they're another team like Auburn that dropped out from last week. They took another loss to Pitt this week, and it just seems like they're losing too much. They're not building any sort of consistency at all. And they can definitely get back into the rankings with a really good week. Kent State, another one of my top mid-majors, falls this week. They lost to Northern Illinois. NIU is not very good, so we'll see if Kent State can bounce back on that. But that is their first loss in the MAC conference. I still feel very confident that Kent State is going to win that conference, but they have to fall out of the Power 35 right now. And also Michigan State falling out from last week. Just got beat up by Purdue, and they were like 34 already, so they fell out. They were so close to, they barely made the cut last week, so they fell out. But still, look out for them. If they have a really good week, they could easily jump back in. But that's going to do it for my Week 13 Dannyology Power 35 rankings. Let me know what you guys think about my rankings, what you guys would change, or maybe you guys think it's perfect, which I know will probably be like nobody. But yeah, let me know in the comment section. Just drop a like if you guys enjoy it, and make sure you guys subscribe because we are dropping these power rankings every single Monday at 7 a.m. and have daily college basketball content here on the channel. So yeah, guys, thank you so much for watching.